I've stood in rooms like this before, rooms where people come to be saved. But the man I'm about to tell you about could not be saved. Not by me, not by anyone. I was his personal physician. I watched the most powerful human being who ever lived take his final breath. His name was Alexander the Great. Before I tell you how he died, I need you to understand something. Most people spend their entire lives chasing one dream. Alexander achieved everything by the age of 30. At 16, he was studying under Aristotle, the greatest mind in the ancient world. At 20, his father was assassinated. The throne was thrust upon him, overnight, without warning. Most 20-year-olds would have collapsed. Alexander declared war on the entire Persian Empire. Egypt surrendered. Persia, the most powerful empire on earth for 200 years, destroyed in 3 battles. He kept going. Central Asia, Afghanistan. He crossed the Hindu Kush mountains in winter, barefoot, and still won. He reached the borders of India and only stopped because his soldiers were homesick. Even the greatest conqueror in history could not conquer his own men's hearts. He turned back toward Babylon, and that is where everything fell apart. What I am about to tell you, I documented myself every single day. May 29th, 323 BC. Alexander attended a banquet. He drank more than usual. Then suddenly, he grabbed his chest, a sharp stabbing pain. He was carried to his chambers. Day 1, fever, chills, thirst that could not be quenched. Day 2, high fever, bathed in the river. It didn't help. Day 4, carried on stretcher to perform his prayers. He refused to show weakness. Day 6, his voice was almost gone. Day 8, his soldiers thought he was already dead. They demanded to see him. 2,000 soldiers filed past his bed, one by one. He could not speak. He could not move. But as each soldier passed, he looked at them with his eyes, just his eyes. It was the last time his army saw him alive. Day 10, complete paralysis. Day 12, June 10th, 323 BC. Alexander the Great was dead. He was 32 years old. Now, here is where this story stops being history and becomes something far more disturbing. Because what I witnessed in those 12 days as his physician did not make sense. It still does not make sense to anyone. 6 symptoms: high fever, severe abdominal pain, progressive weakness, loss of voice, complete paralysis, death in 12 days. 6 symptoms. And they fit 4 completely different causes of death. Each theory more disturbing than the last. Theory 1, the most medically accepted theory today. Babylon sat between 2 rivers, the Euphrates, the Tigris, beautiful from the outside, deadly underneath. The water was contaminated, carrying bacteria, typhoid bacteria. Typhoid causes exactly what Alexander experienced: fever, abdominal pain, weakness, death. But here is the problem. Typhoid takes 3 to 4 weeks to kill. Alexander was dead in 12 days. Something made it faster. Some researchers believe the alcohol he consumed at that final banquet may have been the trigger. A weakened immune system combined with contaminated water, combined with years of battle wounds. perfect storm inside the body of the most powerful man alive. Theory 2. Someone killed him. Alexander had enemies, not just outside his empire, inside it. His own generals were growing tired. He had recently executed several close friends, suspecting betrayal. The suspected weapon? White hellebore, a plant used in ancient medicine. Beautiful white flowers, and in large enough doses, one of the most painful ways to die. Symptoms of white hellebore poisoning: severe abdominal pain, vomiting, progressive paralysis, death within days. Every single symptom matches. The suspected killer? Antipater, governor of Macedonia, who Alexander had recently threatened to remove from power. Motive, means, opportunity. But not a single source written during Alexander's lifetime mentions poison. The theory only appeared decades later, when his generals were fighting each other for his empire, when everyone needed someone to blame. Theory 3, proposed not by ancient historians but by modern scientists in 2019. They noticed something in the ancient records that everyone else had ignored. When Alexander's army entered Babylon, ancient writers describe something strange: ravens falling dead from the sky, hundreds of them dropping dead right in front of Alexander's army. Ancient writers called it a divine warning, a sign from the gods. But modern scientists saw something different. Ravens are among the most vulnerable birds to West Nile virus. West Nile spreads through mosquito bites. Babylon, sitting between two rivers, was full of mosquitoes. West Nile virus causes fever, neurological damage, progressive paralysis, respiratory failure, death. The birds died first, then Alexander. Nature itself may have been trying to warn him. And now, Theory 4. I want you to think about your worst nightmare. Not monsters, not falling. The nightmare where you are aware but cannot move, cannot speak, cannot tell anyone that you are still there. Now imagine that happening at your own funeral. Alexander the Great may have suffered from Guillain-Barré syndrome. It causes paralysis, starting from the feet, moving upward until you cannot move anything, until you appear to be dead. But you are not dead. You are fully conscious. You can hear everything. You can feel everything. You simply cannot respond. His body showed no decomposition for 6 days in the June heat of Babylon. What if he was not dead? What if Alexander the Great lay there, paralyzed, conscious, listening to his generals divide everything he had built, unable to say a single word? He was experiencing his own burial. Buried alive. So, what does modern medicine actually say? The honest answer is that we do not know. We cannot know. Alexander's body was never properly preserved. No DNA analysis has ever been possible. No definitive diagnosis can be made. But here is what every medical historian agrees on. By the time whatever killed him struck, Alexander's body had nothing left to fight with. Years of battle had destroyed him from the inside. A spear through his lung in India, multiple head injuries, countless infections, years of heavy drinking that damaged his liver. The greatest warrior who ever lived was not killed by an enemy's sword. He was killed by his own body's inability to survive one more thing: disease. The one enemy no army can defeat. Alexander the Great died June 10th, 323 BC. He was 32 years old. He left no chosen heir. His generals went to war over his empire for 40 years. The ancient world was never the same. One man, 13 years, the largest empire in ancient history, dead in 12 days from something invisible. Typhoid, poison, West Nile virus, Guillain-Barré syndrome. We still do not know. Perhaps we never will. The man who conquered the world was ultimately conquered by something no sword could stop: disease, the true ruler of human history. What do you think killed Alexander the Great? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe to Ancient Pulse